What's up everybody, it's LaMuerteBlanca and we are back with another explained video. Our last video discussed Judgment, an amazing game set in the Yakuza universe that is filled with just as much collusion as its mainline series. So it's only fitting that we continue with its sequel, Lost Judgment. This game continues RGG's amazing storytelling, but as they love to do in all of their games, this story is confusing as all hell. Right when you think you're about to put some of the pieces together, they end up throwing you in a completely different direction. As always, I'll do my best to have it make sense. No promises though. However, this story is as amazing as it is complicated, and I cannot recommend it enough that you play it for yourself. However, if you're one of those that cannot spare 30 plus hours to play, or the 15 hours needed to watch all the cutscenes, I got you. 3 years after Judgment, we are immediately taken to Ijincho, Yokohama. If this looks familiar, it's because this is the same Yokohama that was in Yakuza Like a Dragon. RGG loves to reuse assets. Fire department gets a call to an abandoned building that's smoking. Turns out the smoke is from an arrow of flares pointed toward a decomposed body? That's nasty. Those firefighters are taking that smell way too casually. 2 minutes in this damn game and I already have a million questions. Back in Kamurocho, we meet up with everyone's favorite investigative duo, Yagami, our character, and his lovable thug sidekick, Kaido. They're working on a case that doesn't really matter, so we're just gonna move on. Saori and Hoshino are defending an accused sexual harasser. Dude was caught trying to run away after filling a girl up on a train. All the evidence is stacked against him, yet he continues to deny he did it and push for a trial. Weird detail, I know, but it plays a big role. Trust me. Yagami gets a call from our favorite V for Vendetta cosplay, Sugiura. He and Tsukumo, the hacker from the last game, have formed their own detective agency in Yokohama. What a coincidence, and need Yagami's help with the case. Back in the courtroom, the defendant for the sexual harassment case, Ihara, is found guilty and is given 6 months jail time. Judge asks Ihara to sit, but he just stands there like he's in a full-on trance. Finally, he begins to speak and talks about the scene we first saw in Yokohama, a scene the police haven't shared with the public because they're still trying to ID the body. Don't worry, Ihara got you though. The corpse belongs to Hiro Mikoshiba. Ihara says Mikoshiba drove his son to commit suicide 4 years ago and is pissed off because the law let him walk. How the fuck does he know all of this? Did he kill him? But he's been locked up for the past couple of months. What the hell is going on? As soon as we have a million questions and no answers, we're back with Yagami. He and Kaido are in Yokohama and they're on their way to meet up with Sugiura. On their way, they run into a handful of bratty-ass entitled high schoolers bullying the shit out of a shop owner. These little fucks think they can't be touched because they're minors and are filming everything. So what does Yagami and Kaido do? Nothing more than commit a crime. Abuse of a minor specifically, no big deal. But I say it's justified because fuck those assholes. Finally, they meet up with Tsukumo, who has a nicer setup than any streamer I know, and Sugiura, who apparently kept his fake name. They need Yagami's help with a case where the chairman of a private school wants the school investigated for any instances of bullying. I know, crazy. But stay with me, you'll see. They meet with Okuda, the school chairman, and learn the asshole bullies they beat up that very day attending the school they're about to go investigate. I'm sure you know where this is going. They also learned 4 years ago a student at this school committed suicide because he was being bullied. The parents sued the school, but the investigation didn't turn up any conclusive evidence. One of the student teachers also mysteriously disappeared 2 months ago. I'm sure none of this is related to anything we've already discussed, right? Right? The next day, the group goes to the high school undercover to plant cameras because spying on high schoolers isn't creepy. By the way, it's 2021. How does this school not already have cameras? Tsukumo has RGBs on his laptop. By the way, nice touch, RGG. And this private school doesn't have cameras? Also, not sure how no one thought Yagami standing at Kaido wouldn't be suspicious. I've never seen a maintenance crew not have a ladder. They must do it differently in Japan. They also think it's a good idea to plant a camera in the homeroom of the bullies they beat up, but get stopped by a teacher named Sawa, who rightfully thinks they're sus. Like any good undercover detective, Kaido hits on her. Later, that very camera catches the same group of asshole kids bullying a girl, so they report it to the chairman. Then an unrelated series of events causes Yagami to beat them and the rugby team up. Just out here committing child abuse at a school with no consequences. The next day, after stopping another bullying incident, Yagami gets a call from Saori. We learn the student teacher who went missing from the school 2 months ago is none other than Hiro Mikoshiba, the same person who is now a decomposed corpse, the same person who Ihara called out in court. What the fuck? Saori rightfully thinks this is all sus because Mikoshiba was killed the day Ihara got caught for sexual harassment. But Ihara apparently has an alibi because he was at the station all morning. Ihara's son was a student at this high school who was allegedly bullied by Mikoshiba and committed suicide. Ihara sued the school and nothing came of the investigation. Saori wants Yagami to dig up dirt on Mikoshiba. Yagami learns that Mikoshiba was Sawa-sensei's mentee and was active in the basketball club. This club is also attended by the bullies Yagami already beat up. Twice. Yagami starts asking questions. Bullies roll out bats, not sure why they need those in a basketball gym. Oh, they came to teach Yagami a lesson. Guess they forgot students at school learn and not teach, and they get their asses kicked again. Seriously, take a hint. We've really spent this whole game so far just beating the shit out of minors. Some minor stuff happens and we're going to skip for the sake of time, and Yagami kicks the bullies' asses again. Okay, I'm done. Really? Again? Who wrote this story? Is there anyone else we can fight? Apparently, 4 times the charm, because after getting beat up by the same guy over and over, they finally decide to spill info that Sawa was keeping from Yagami. Yagami goes to speak with her and the chairman, but a detective from the Kanagawa police strolls up into the chairman's office. They have questions about Mikoshiba's disappearance. Yagami confronts Sawa again to straighten out her story, but she continues to resist. After more pressing, she offers to meet him that night for a chat. On his way to said chat, Yagami gets jumped by a masked gang, has legs of steel the way he's kicking around tables, and has to Jackie Chan his way out of this fight. Meanwhile, Sawa is completely oblivious to the entire situation going on right outside the window when she is approached by a mysterious woman. Some random dude in a fake leather jacket steps out and offers Yagami some help. All he does is says he's a better fighter than Yagami, and the 5 guys with weapons just run away. Yagami finally catches up with Sawa, who immediately seems frantic and says she can't help him. The mysterious woman tells Sawa that she and Yagami need to stay away from the case, which is what Sawa intends to do as she leaves. Again, Sawa proving zero help. Weird leather jacket guy is Kawana, a handyman in Ijincho. He's the type of handyman, though, that doesn't mind getting his hands dirty for the right price, if you know what I'm saying. They introduce each other the same way you'd expect in any RPG game. They fight, until Kaito and Sugiura break it up. Turns out Kawana is a senpai to Sugiura, and now everyone's buddies. Funny how it always works out like that. Kawana also informs them that the gang was likely hired Yokohama Liomang, the Chinese gang from Yakuza Like a Dragon. Yagami decides to check out the crime scene where they found Mikoshiba's body and runs into the detective that he saw at the high school, Watanabe. Tokyo and Kanagawa PD are too busy dick measuring to get anything done, so Watanabe, just desperate for answers, decides to collaborate with Yagami. Watanabe says Mikoshiba was likely abducted by a group not far from his home around that same time that Ihara was at the train station. During the conversation, they spot 3 guys spying on them. Looks sus as hell, so Yagami decides to jump out of a 3rd-story window and chase them down. Guess there's no fall damage in this game. The guy claims they were just curious about the crime scene. I think he's full of shit, but they let him go anyway because he didn't technically commit a crime. The next day, Yagami meets up with Hoshino to check out the scene of Ihara's harassment. Ihara basically stood on the platform all morning, got on the train behind a woman named Mamiya, touched her butt, ran away, then got caught. While there, they diagrammed the platform and security cameras only to find a single blind spot. Interesting. Later that day, Yagami goes to grill Sawa again, guilting her into spilling whatever she's hiding. She finally cracks, and we learn 4 years ago Toshiro, Ihara's son, confided in Sawa and told her all about the tragic bullying Mikoshiba was doing to him. After Toshiro committed suicide, the quote-unquote investigation committee was an inside job and all evidence of the bullying was discarded. Even during Toshiro's case, the teacher and the school's attorney coerced Sawa into false testimony. The whole thing is completely fucked up. That night, the Yokohama Liomang throw a big-ass rock through the homie's window, so this time Yagami jumps out the 2nd-story window and chases the guy down, all the way to the gang hideout. There he finds Tesso, who's doing his best Wolverine impression. Only difference is, he can't fight, and Yagami beats his ass and escapes. When they get back, Sugiura's all kinds of fucked up, and poor Tsukumo's pinky is hurt. It's a final warning from a group of masked men different from the Yokohama Liomang. Yagami needs to head back to Kamurocho. He's going to have a chat with Ihara. On his way, he and Kaito run into a gang looking for a missing person that disappeared 5 years ago. They're called RK, and they're headed by some dude named Soma. Akutsu, this guy who looks like he got a shirt from a Cougar discount store, is second in command. They are both ex-Tojo and are trying to build their own gang after the Tojo dissolution left an opening. Yagami and Saori meet up with Ihara, who doesn't tell them anything useful. Coincidentally, or not, when Yagami gets to his office, footage of Mikoshiba's murder is released on the internet. Dude was tortured, had his throat slit, and it was Ihara who killed him? How the fuck? Wasn't he at the train station? This video is either fake or Ihara being convicted of harassment is a cover-up for murder. But who released it? Why? The crazy thing too is Ihara was already convicted, meaning you can't just turn around and say, Your Honor, I know we already proved he committed harassment, but that time actually didn't happen. He actually committed a murder that happened at the exact same time instead. And like the last Judgment game, the prosecution is completely up their own ass because they're saying the video is a fake and unreliable evidence. Basically, they're sticking with the original verdict because they don't want to look foolish. This also ties the police's hands because now Ihara can't even be a suspect. How could a man convicted of a different crime at the exact same time commit murder. This might be the craziest conspiracy we have explained yet, and we are just getting started. That day, Yagami and Kaito get jumped by a bunch of RK goons and decide to pay a visit to Akutsu. What the fuck, man? Why you want this smoke? Akutsu is actually trying to recruit Kaito, weird way to do it, but Kaito in so many words tells him to fuck off, and then they beat the shit out of all of his goons because they want that smoke. Then the leader himself, Soma, shows up. Dude wears a nice suit, but he's got a weird fetish with that cloth. He claims it's a dust allergy. I think he's full of shit. I also think it's a really weird character trait to include. Like, why RGG? Why is it important to give him a dust allergy? And why does this allergy medicine not exist in Japan? We know he has money. Get this man a Claritin. Regardless, he seems more reasonable and lets Yagami and Kaito leave. Yagami and Saori decide to look into the alibi by setting up a meeting with the victim, Mamiya, but she doesn't give them much. However, they regroup and come up with a very interesting theory. They can't assume the video is fake. That gives them nothing to go on. But what if? What if the alibi is fake? What if Ihara had a stand-in and they switched in the camera's blind spot? What if Mamiya was in on it the whole time? That would mean they planned the groping so Ihara could get away with murder and make the judicial system look foolish, which is appropriate retribution for how pissed off Ihara is about Toshiro's failed trial. Holy shit. If this is true, this is the conspiracy to end all conspiracies. But wait, assuming this is true, why would Mamiya agree to this plan? They research Mamiya, who went to the same school as the dude scoping out the murder scene. Holy shit. That can't be a coincidence. The same high school that Sawa attended. What? Is all of this really connected? Hoshino also finds an incident that happened while Sawa was a student. A classmate of hers, Mitsuro Kusumoto, was bullied by another student, Kauai, at the point where he threw himself off the roof. He's still in a coma after 13 years. The interesting part is he's the son of now Vice Minister of Health, Reiko Kusumoto. Great. The Ministry of Health is involved. Again, Saori starts working on an appeal for Ihara. If she can prove Ihara's innocence for harassment, then they can get his ass for murder. Yagami heads back to Ijincho to question Sawa again, but hold up. The hell is RK doing here? Hoshino did some more digging and found a picture of Kauai, the guy that bullied Mitsuru. That's the guy RK is looking for! That night, Yagami goes to Sawa's apartment to ask more questions, but he ends up finding Kuwana and RK. Kuwana says RK is after him, and Yagami helps him kick all the ass to help Kuwana get away. Akutsu pulls out his phone, and we see Soma with an ice pick to Sawa's neck, which is just enough distraction for Yagami to catch a metal bat to the back of the head. Seriously, at this point, it should be game over. Blunt force trauma, easy, but naturally the hero in cutscenes is immune to death. Yagami's guardian angel finds a way to wake him up after that hit, but unfortunately the first thing he sees is Soma and his cloth fetish. Also unfortunate, he's tied up in some warehouse and Soma happens to be a human lie detector. They start asking Yagami about Kuwana, but that's just an alias. His real name is Kitakata. Because Yagami doesn't have the info they want, RK just starts beating the shit out of him. I mean, like on the brink of death beat down. But don't forget, heroes don't die in cutscenes. And right when Yagami is about to catch a chainsaw, Scarface style, Kaito and Sugiura roll up. Even after Yagami was just beaten half to death, the three of them managed to smack down 18 arcade members, don't worry, I counted, with weapons, including chainsaw-wielding Akutsu. Yup, easy claps. Akutsu manages to get away. Yagami still has zero answers, and when he gets back to Sawa's apartment to ask about Kuwana, it is completely trashed. No fucking way. Sawa's been murdered? That fuck Soma killed her for what? Weren't they just after Kuwana? Before the cops show up, they swipe Sawa's high school yearbook in hopes it'll provide some kind of clue. The next day, Yagami's trying to find Kuwana. They find his address and trespass like any good detective would. RK got there first and tore the place up. Luckily, RK is just a bunch of thugs though, because they missed the flash drive that is doubled as a lighter. There has to be some useful information on it. So after trespassing, they decide to commit burglary and take the lighter with them. A neighbor tells them about Kuwana's uncle who owns a bar, so they check it out. Kaido gets stabbed twice. Yagami is about to get stabbed, but Sawa decides it's a good idea to answer the bar's phone when it randomly rings. Bad guys are always terrible with priorities. It's the uncle. He wants to talk to Yagami, so Soma hands him the phone and leaves. Seriously? Kaido gets rushed to the hospital, and Yagami speaks with the uncle about stuff not important enough for this video. On his way back to the office, Tesso decides to jump Yagami because he thinks he brought RK to Injincho. Only thing Yagami brought were these hands, and after Tesso catches them, he understands the error of his ways. Tesso offers to make Yagami a brother, so now he's cool with Yokohama Leomon. Finally, Yagami gets back to Tsukumo, and there's only one data file on that flash drive. It's a very unsettling video of a group of kids blowing the fuck out of Mitsuru 13 years ago. From the video, they ID a number of the students, including Kauai, the dudes who were at the crime scene, and Mamiya. They're all connected. They also learn that this video was taken literally hours before Mitsuru threw himself off the roof. But why does Kuwana have this? After investigating Sawa's yearbook, they learned Mitsudo's homeroom teacher was Yu Kitakata. No fucking way. Kawana was a teacher? The same teacher connected to Mitsudo, Sawa, Mamiya, Kauai, and the rest of those asshole bullies? This is fucking huge. It's all starting to come together. Kawana had to quit teaching after the Mitsudo incident and went underground to get his revenge on those bullies. That explains why he has the secret video. If that gets out, then the lives of everyone in it are over. Kawana used it as leverage to get the other bullies to cooperate and abduct Kauai. This could explain why RK is after Kawana. Are they still looking for Kauai? Wait, does that mean Kawana is in on the Ihara incident since Mamiya is involved? Only way to find out is to ask Mamiya, so Yagami and Sugiura head that way. Yagami presses Mamiya hard. You know this bitch is guilty as fuck because she's about to crack. Instead, she texts someone and those dudes that messed up Tsukumo's pinky barge in. Little do they know that they're messing with Yagami and they get their asses all torn up. Yagami unmasks the assailants. Oh damn, it's the guy from the crime scene. Mami has some explaining to do. Where should we go if we have someone that needs interrogating? They pay their old friend Higashi a visit. If you haven't guessed, this is the part where the whole story blows up. Get ready. Mami explains Kawana secretly taped the bullying and held onto it until it would have the most impact once their lives were established and they really had something to lose. 5 years ago, Kawana used the video to blackmail his former students into abducting Kauai, which, by the way, he also taped that. Mamiya then got a picture of Kauai. Dead. Kawana killed Kauai? Holy shit. But it's even crazier. Because of the video he taped and the fact that he still has the body with all the former students' fingerprints on it, Kawana can pin Kauai's murder on the students if they don't do what he says. All of this extortion has forced Kawana's former students to be accessories to the murders of at least 7 other bullies that have caused their victims to commit suicides. Poetic justice or sadistic killer. Either way, that's ice cold. But what about Ihara's case? Mamiya, the ones filming, the ones who caught Ihara, all in on it. Fuck me, man. This is insane. And Sawa is connected to this because Kawana tricked her into spilling the collusion regarding Toshiro's trial, enticing Kawana to talk to Ihara and make Mikoshiba his next target. Remember when Yagami got called by Sugiura to assist with a simple bullying case? Yeah, me too. Yagami then gets a call from Kawana. He's agreed to meet with Yagami. Kawana explains his side of the Mitsudo incident and how he tried to scare Sawa and Yagami away with the Mikoshiba case. He was the one that put the Liumang on Yagami, and Mamiya was the one that gave Sawa the photo at the cafe. Kawana thinks RK had Sawa hostage, which is why she called him to her apartment the night she was murdered. But Kawana still doesn't know why RK wants him. 2 conversations and this whole story blows wide open. I really hope you've been paying attention because this web of collusion is seriously fucked. And if you think it won't get crazier or more confusing, keep watching, my friend. Anyway, Kawana does the most Yagami shit ever and jumps out a multi-story window, followed by Yagami, who still doesn't understand the concept of stairs or doors. He chases Kawana into a trap where the math students didn't learn their lesson the first time, so Yagami has to reteach. But this gives Kawana the opportunity to get away. Afterwards, the whole gang's back at Higashi's place to get Mamiya's truth about the Ihara groping incident. Kawana used a 3D printer to create a mask that looked like Ihara's face and played stand-in while Ihara was murdering Mikoshiba. Kawana was the one that uploaded the murder footage on the internet. Him and Ihara are basically trying to make the law look stupid, which they've done a pretty good job of achieving so far. The 2 of them switch places in the camera's blind spot, and the trace evidence on Ihara's hand was pre-planted. None of this matters though if they can't get Ihara back in court for an appeal, which he clearly doesn't want to do. But Yagami managed to trick Ihara into agreeing based on the idea he gets to humiliate the court again. And just when you think it couldn't get any crazier, during a later conversation, Yagami's crew turns on the TV and Kawana is now the prime suspect of Sawa's murder. Soma killed her though. How the hell is Kawana the prime suspect when RK and Yagami were also there? Yagami meets with Watanabe like, what the fuck, guy? And Watanabe says someone on the inside is trying to cover it up. Someone tampered with the camera footage to make Kawana the only suspect, and when they finally find him, he's supposed to die in an accident. Yagami gets pissed when Watanabe says they're closing the books on the case, so he beats the shit out of a detective. Man really gets away with whatever he wants. But as expected, that beating gets Watanabe to cooperate with Yagami and learns that public security is likely behind the collusion. For those of you that don't know, public security is a governmental spy ring like the United States' CIA. Public security is basically using RK to keep tabs on underground crime since the Tojo clan is no more. It'd be impossible to monitor everything if there wasn't a central organization. What's even more insane is that Tokyo PD doesn't even have a file on Soma. This guy is a ghost. No way. Does this mean Soma isn't real, or it's another cover-up? Is public security covering up for Soma? Do you know what that means? If you don't, you'll learn soon. But we don't have time to explain now. We have to find Koana before public security does. Yagami finds out Koana is with the Yokohama Liamang. Tesso's his brother now, so he strolls on in to see Koana. Koana explains that Reiko Kusamoto was an accessory to murder. She killed Kauai herself. Koana is convinced Kusamoto didn't sick public security on him. He believes that public security plans to catch Koana and use him as leverage to manipulate Kusamoto. Fucking dirty ass politicians at it again. Remember when this is a cyberbullying case? Yeah, me too. This conversation gets heated when Yagami starts going off about Sawa's wrongful death and how Koana is on some bullshit because his sense of justice is all fucked up. Naturally, this means they have to fight again. So they do. Eventually, they tire out and Tessa decides to treat everyone to the boss's cooking. Hey, it's our guy Zhao. If you don't know who this is, check out my explaining video for Yakuza Like a Dragon. The guy cooks like he dresses. Smooth as fuck. They talk some more, and after a mutual ass-kicking, a good meal, and mediation by Tesso of all people, Yagami and Koana decide to team up against public security. Now we're fighting the government. Let's go. Meanwhile, Kusamoto is visiting her comatose son when there's a knock at the door. This sketchy-looking weasel is named Bando. Oh, and guess what? He's with public security. He approaches Kusamoto regarding the disappearance of Kauai. He knows, doesn't he? But we'll have to find out later because of the Fade to Black cliffhanger. A few days later, Tsukumo finds out what hospital Mitsuru is at, and Yagami devises a plan to speak with Kusamoto undisturbed. Real quick though, it's a damn good thing this lady is the Vice Minister of Health, because otherwise, there is no fucking way they'd be able to pay for that hospital bill. The kid's been in a coma for 13 years. That has to be a ton of money. Anyway, Yagami talks to Kusamoto and finds out public security wants control of the pension fund under the Ministry of Health's jurisdiction, which is worth 160 trillion yen. Not million, not billion, trillion. Holy fuck. They want to take bigger risks and gamble that money in order to rebuild Japan's economy faster, but gambles don't always pay off, which is why Kusamoto is being conservative with it. All this conspiracy between Kusamoto and Kauai could be used by public security to force her to agree to their collusion, which, as we should all know by now, is bad. Later, Hoshino learns that RK owns a number of cabaret clubs, and if one of the girls makes a lot of money, then Akutsu gives her a bonus in person. Guess what that means? We get to play dress up with Saori again. Because Saori's a natural, she pulls up and earns a bonus on her first night. Shout out to Saori, let's go. If the whole lawyer thing doesn't work out, she has options. Or maybe not, because the whole thing was actually a setup. Or maybe not, because Yagami, Higashi, and no way, Kaito's back? Roll up, ready to beat the information they need out of Akutsu. Too bad Akutsu doesn't have any info, but Kaito's big brain has an epiphany mid-conversation. What if Soma is public security? Like undercover public security. It's crazy, but it makes so much sense. Remember, no public record of Soma exists. He conveniently dipped out of the Yakuza just before they dissolved. He's the one that founded and started building RK. Don't forget, public security needs a central hub to monitor all of the ex-Yakuza. Are they doing that through Soma and his creation of RK? Just then, bam! Akutsu's dead. That dude got lit up by cops. That shit screams public security hit job. Yagami's now on the hunt for Soma. He talks to a couple people, beats the shit out of even more people, and then we get a cutscene with Kusamoto? Huh? But this is a big deal because Kusamoto tells Bando she's going to stop the collusion and turn herself into the police. She basically said, fuck you and public security, manipulate these nuts. And just when Bando's about to leave with his tail between his legs, Mitsuru is awake? Oh my god, 13 years in a coma and he picks today? The day his mom decides to finally end it all and turn herself in? Holy shit. Back to Yagami. He finds out Soma is looking for Koana in Ijincho, so he gets back on a train or a plane or whatever he's had to get on 50 times during the course of this game because we are now searching for Koana. Again. I swear, this guy's the fucking Japanese Where's Waldo. This time, he's on a boat. Cue the Lonely Island and T-Pain music. Yagami's trying to expose everything, even public security, but Koana refuses to out Kusamoto or stop his murder spree because of his twisted sense of justice. He claims he's going underground and asks Yagami to get Ihara a locket. Just when Yagami starts monologuing and giving himself a morality boner, oh shit, Soma rolls up and slices the fuck out of Homeboy's neck. Seriously though, how do you not hear him pull up? The dude's wearing loud-ass dress shoes walking on metal. Then all kinds of RK flood in. How though? Yagami made sure he didn't have a tail. That bitch. Kusumoto sold out Kawana. Now that her son's awake after 13 years, she can't just up and turn herself in anymore, so now she's working with public security. The two of them body a literal boat full of RK, but Soma and his cloth fetish keep sending more after them. Like, really, dude? Your dust allergy is so bad, you're sniffling in open air out on the water. Sus. With no hope in sight, Kawana takes off. Yagami rushes after him and boom! The boat explodes. Just like that, Kawana gets away. RK leaves without confirming the status of Kawana or Yagami, and Yagami just gets up and walks away even though he ate an explosion point blank. After a handful of conversations that aren't significant enough for this recap, Tsukumo finds out the locket is a decoy. Decoy for what? The locket had an SD card holding Ihara's murder footage. No big deal, right? Wrong. This SD card is special where the footage on it cannot be tampered with, making this the original copy. This is huge. Yagami finally has an unaltered, irrefutable evidence of Mikoshiba's murder. 1 month later, because apparently after everything we just went through, nothing significant happened over a course of a whole month. Yagami's looking smooth in his suit. He's getting ready for Ihara's appeal. During the case, Yagami reviews everything we've learned so far. How the groping was a full-on conspiracy, how Ihara is not only a liar under oath, but also a murderer. Ihara does a good job resisting at first, but Yagami presses him just enough and gets Ihara to confess to everything. That's right. Ihara admitted to killing Mikoshiba in court. He admits to the fake alibi, everything. Prosecution's dumbass is all like, where's the proof? Are you fucking serious? As a matter of fact, Ihara explains he hid the murder weapon in his son's altar. How's that for proof? Prosecution's all like, I guess we can look into it. Stupid. For the time being, the case will be suspended until the weapon is recovered and the judge can reassess everything. Yagami, you fucking black magic law magician. You did it again. But we're not done yet. Kusumoto and Bando just showed up. Kusumoto calls Kawana so he can speak with her and Yagami. A desperate man, Kawana allows the call to be traced, so public security is on their way with Yagami close behind. And just like in the last game, you know shit's about to get real because it starts raining. And here we go, 4 against an entire army with bats and knives and all kinds of weapons, but we all know that doesn't mean jack. Main characters can't lose. After whipping all kinds of ass, Yagami gets a call from Kawana. Turns out this is actually all a trap for Soma. Kawana plans to out Soma and public security in order to protect Kusumoto. Dude, she betrayed the fuck out you and you still have her back? I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. After whooping even more ass and playing SSX tricky on a forklift, they finally make it to the deepest part of the warehouse, where Soma has already found Kawai's body. Just then, bam! Big Box tries to flatten Soma Looney Tunes style and Soma starts shooting. Yagami's crew pulls up and Soma's still shooting. Soma even shoots his own man trying to hit Kaido. Idiot. Sugiura kicks the gun away. Kaido gets the funniest KO of the entire game and squad gets ready to mess up what's left of RK, including Soma. Yagami puts Soma to sleep. It's finally over. And not quite. Kawana planted a bomb on Kawai's body and plans on destroying it to protect Kusumoto. Dude. And Higashi's speaking straight facts when he says,
oh, what the fuck? I can't keep track of how many times this guy has changed sides.
None of us can, Higashi. None of us can. Yagami sends the homies away. This is his fight. And for the 3rd time, the two of them proceed to beat the shit out of each other. But this time, Yagami roundhouses the fool off a multi-story scaffold. How is he still alive? Doesn't matter. He needs to be alive so Yagami can give the big hero speech we've all come to expect in these games. You all know the formula. Ass kicking plus provocative speech equals bad guy's change of heart. Speaking of, Kusumoto randomly decides to show up and tells Kawana she can't bear it anymore. She's going to turn herself in. Over the past 2 games, the Ministry of Health really can't catch a break. First though, she has a touching moment with her son saying she's going to be gone for a while. Doesn't tell him why, but he says he'll be waiting. She committed murder, my guy. You're going to be waiting for a long time. Now it's finally over. Soma's going to jail for Sawa's murder. Bando is going to jail for assisting Soma, including covering up the Sawa murder footage. Ihara has officially been charged with Mikoshiba's murder, and Kusumoto charged with Kawai's murder. Yagami and the homies get to eat sushi. The asshole bullies are now good guys, and Kawana is still missing. But an anonymous report gave police the whereabouts of 5 murder victims linked to bullying. And that's Lost Judgment. Moral of the story, don't be a bully. Or a private investigator from another city will come beat your ass a bunch of times. Or you might get murdered. Yep, I think that about sums it up. I think we're done here. Remember when this was a simple bullying case? Yeah, me too. If you found this video helpful or at all entertaining, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what other explained videos do you guys want to see. We finished the Judgment series, so you tell me what is next. As we continue the explained series, please be with me as these videos take time. Some of these games need to be replayed in order to get the full experience, and Blanca is a very busy boy with a full-time job, young family, and a growing live stream. If you want to hang out with us on the live stream, join the family on Discord or connect on any of the socials. All my links can be found in the description below. I'm LaMuerteBlanca, and I'll catch you guys next time.